Hello, and welcome to episode 24 of Novel Knits. My name is Danelle, and this is my YouTube channel where I talk about what I'm knitting and what I'm reading. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really glad you're here. I am back in my yarn cave area because I have been having a really hard time recording this video, and I thought maybe a change of scenery would help. So here we are. And I am coming to you, as always, from southeastern Wisconsin, where I live with my family. It's about 88 degrees and really warm today. Yeah. If you want to find me on Instagram or Ravelry, you can find me as Novel Knit Girl, all one word, in both places. And please check the description below this video for notes on everything I talk about, as well as all the rules for both make-alongs that I'm hosting, which I'll talk about those really quick right now. I'm hosting 2 year-long make-alongs, and we're halfway through the year. I can't believe it. You guys are killing it. Those of you who are participating, it's been so much fun to see all of your different makes. You guys make all sorts of beautiful things, and it's so cool to see. So the first one is Sweater Year 2022, and that one is just what it sounds like, knit or crochet a sweater. It can be baby through adult, pullover, cardigan. The only things that I said no to, which, you know, I'm not kicking anybody out, but tank tops and vests. But if you make it and it feels like a sweater to you, please enter it either using the hashtag Sweater Year 2022 or post in our group on Ravelry, which is linked below, but is Novel Knit Podcast group. And I do not have a pretty picture or anything. I'm working on it. But yeah, it just kind of looks like a ghost group right now. But I'm there, I promise. I check everything out. And I use that for the make-alongs. The other make-along is Shop Your Stash 2022. So if you have a huge stash like the one I have behind me, oh, sorry about the glare, you can't see all my yarn. That cupboard is pretty full too, as well as down below in there, and every other nook and cranny in this room has yarn. If you have a big yarn stash or any other crafting stash, please feel free to use it and join in this make along. So again, use the hashtag ShopYourStash2022 or post in the group on Ravelry. And yeah, keep using your stash. And you guys are really, really, really inspiring me with all of the different things that you're making, both sweaters and in the other threads. So really cool, and I'm really loving seeing what you guys make. I always love to hear what you're making and reading, so feel free to leave a comment below at any time of a good book you finished or what you're working on. I would love to know. You can also send me a message on Ravelry or Instagram, or tag me in a post. That would be fine too. I love suggestions. Clearly I can't get enough. All right, well, normally I have Vital Few, Finished Objects, Works in Progress, and Book Club, but today I have no finished objects. So I'm going to talk really quickly in the Vital Few about what I'm wearing, and also some frogging that I have done recently. So I am wearing, it is called the Aya Tank, and it is by Gabrielle Vézina, and it's AYA. It'll be linked below as well to my Ravelry project page. And I made this in 2018, and this is the first time I'm wearing it. The reason for that is because I knit this out of Cloudborn Merino Alpaca yarn, and it is quite warm. So for a tank top, it's a really, really warm one. The other reason I don't wear it much is it has really thin straps, so I apologize that you can see my bra strap, but that's probably also the other reason. I have to figure something out here. If I was gonna, I would 100% make this again in more of a summer weight yarn, not weight, but a summer blend, like a cotton or a cotton linen. I would make these I-cords a little bit thicker, or maybe even just do like a garter strap. Super easy construction, beautiful pattern. I will try to stand up and show you a little bit, so apologies if this gets awkward at all. But it has this, oh, and I'm drinking some tea. So it's got this gorgeous garter lace panel here. And then it has been folded in my closet for 4 years, but it's got this gorgeous garter lace edging on the bottom. And then it has this, mine is reverse stockinette, but it's supposed to be a garter ridge going up the side, but I misread the directions and I did not do that correctly, but it's fine. It looks good. And then the back is really nice as well. I only think that last part got awkward. but I really, really like it. And I'm trying to figure out how I can wear it more because I put the time in to make it. It's gorgeous and I do love it. I just wish that I had used different yarn. So it's always cold in the basement and I do have to jump on Zoom calls for work every once in a while. So I'm thinking this could be a summer work top for me. We'll see. If you have any other suggestions, let me know. So I had some frogging that I did. And one of the things that I frogged might really surprise you because I was so high on it last time I recorded. And that is the Hug You Me by Laura Nelkin. I frogged it, sadly, but I was working on the second sleeve after I was so proud of myself and something was off. And I think I still have it here. Hang on. Wrong bag. Here, this side. So I haven't unraveled the whole thing, but for those of you who need a visual, this was it. So I had done this whole back lace section and I did the whole first sleeve and I really enjoyed it. And then something happened picking up the stitches for the second sleeve and it was wrong. So I tried to fix it and I ended up really, really messing things up. And I didn't want to go back and do it again. And when I really just kind of sat myself down and thought about it, I thought, this brought me as much joy as I needed. I don't want to do it again. And if I'm totally honest with myself, this is not something I need in my wardrobe. I was doing this as a process knit, not necessarily a product knit. I didn't care at the end of the day if I had the product. So that was sort of what helped me decide that I did not want to go back and re-knit what I had already knit. So I did cast on something new with the yarn. Let's see if there's a good picture here. I was inspired to make this after watching the ladies at the Chronicles of Yarnia podcast in Montclair, New Jersey. One of the ladies made this sweater. It's called the Eastbound Sweater. And I want to use this yarn. It is some of my oldest stash yarn and I want to get it off my needles. So I thought something like this would fit into my wardrobe a little bit better. And it was a way that I could use this yarn because let's be honest, I like it, but it's black and I want it out and make something very wearable for myself. So that's the plan right now. I have casted it on, but it's this much, so I'm not going to talk about it at all today. But yeah, so that is the plan. And I apologize. I know some of you were really interested in seeing that one come all the way through, but it's not going to happen. Not for me, at least. And then I also frogged, which if you're new, you probably haven't even ever seen it, but it felt good to frog it nonetheless, was my Vertices Unite by Stephen West. I casted that on last year for a make-along. And while I like the pattern and I loved the yarns, I didn't want to go back to knitting that right now. So I just thought I want to use the yarn for something else. So I have signed up for 2 test knits recently and I can use that yarn for one of the test knits. And I think it'll be really good. And I guess I can kind of go into whips talking about that. One of the test knits that I'm doing, they're both for Tif Neilan, who is a great designer. I love testing for her. And one of them, and this is going to be really awkward. Sorry, hang on. It's actually in my garbage can. One of them is, I believe it's called a Scrappy Stashbuster shawl. And it's really, really, it's going to be another big Tif Neilan shawl. And I tend to like them. It's going to be squishy. There's a lot of garter. And I casted it on with the color palette that I thought I would like. And this is as far as I got. And I just was not feeling this color palette. Plus there's this lap thin braid, which I've never done before. And I didn't feel like I did it to the best of my ability. I feel like I could do it better. So, but the main thing was the yarns were not making me happy. And this is 3 different yarns. So you hold, because it's a Scrappy project, you hold 2 yarns together, marling kind of throughout the whole thing. And this wasn't bad. But then I got into this and it's just almost too neutral for me. And not feeling these colors. So I didn't even feel like unraveling it. I just threw it in my garbage can, and I'm gonna restart that using different yarn. I am craving color right now, and normally neutrals are great for me, but I'm really craving color. So I'm gonna use at least some of the yarns from the Vertices Unite and maybe a few other scraps that I have around the house. So I should probably be able to show more of that one next time that we meet. But so that's a frog of two things in one, because I even frogged the new shawl that I started. Okay, so let's get into more frogging and talk about my current works in progress. So the other test knit I am doing for Tif Neilan is unfortunately due tomorrow or possibly today, depending on when this goes up, and that is the Quill Tee, which I'm going to show you now. I have knit this yoke 3 times in 3 different color combinations. It's got this gorgeous simple color work and then a picot bind off on the bottom. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen some of these chronicles that I've been going through. As I mentioned, I think last time that we were together, I ended up purchasing new yarn for this project because Tif and Magpie Fibers worked out a deal where testers could have a discount if they wanted to use the same yarn that she used for the test knit. So I decided to take advantage of that, and I ordered yarn. But this was a quick turnaround for this project, and I did not get the yarn very quickly. So in the meantime, I grabbed some yarn that I had in my stash, and it was light fingering, and the Magpie Swanky sock is a plump fingering. So the gauge was off, and the colors weren't working. It was very yellow and bronze color, and I think they'll work together more in a color block situation as opposed to stranded color work. It ended up looking sort of like eggs and bacon on my chest, and I didn't like that. So although it wasn't awful, once that was in my head and the gauge was wrong anyway, I just decided to frog it. So then I put together a different color combination, and when I held them up together, I thought they would work great. One was a gray tonal that I dyed, and the other one was Neighborhood Fiber Company. And I knit a whole yoke before realizing that there just wasn't enough contrast. So that's yoke number 2. So now I'm on to yoke number 3, and I did just decide to use the Magpie fibers that I purchased. So it is Magpie Fibers Swanky Sock, and this is the color Ghost Town. And then my contrast color is called Selkie. It fell out of my bag. So here it is. I'm very happy with this, and it is gorgeous. That is the back. Here's the front. It is going to be so pretty. I really, really like it. I'm really happy that I chose this yarn. There isn't a huge contrast. If I was going to choose yarn again, I might have gone with something that maybe was less variegated and had fewer speckles than this Ghost Town, but I really love how it looks. It's a little muddy, but it's great. So you start with twisted rib collar, and then you go into some short rows in the back. And then you do this really, really simple color work. The chart is super easy to follow. The increases are very clear and easy. You never have more than, I think, 4 stitches between the color work, so you never have to catch your floats, which is amazing. So if you are newer to color work, this would be an excellent first color work project. This is what the inside looks like. I couldn't be happier with it, and the Magpie is like amazing. I mean, it is really soft and stretchy and wonderful, and I think I'm really gonna enjoy this. It is on tiny, tiny needles, which is why it looks so small and scrunched up. It is gonna be just fine. It's gonna fit. So I really, really like it. I will not finish this by the deadline, which I'm disappointed in, because I usually, when I sign up for a test knit, I always try to finish by the deadline, and I just wasn't able to do that this time. But I'm hoping to finish most of the body and at least have it to a point where I can take a body picture of myself for her release date tomorrow. So we'll see. I'm doing my best. I'm trying. And then my next work in progress are 2 pairs of socks. I don't think I've shown either of these previously. I think I casted them both on after my last episode. So they're both awesome. I love them both equally. So these are not shown in any specific order. I will just mention before I start, I knit all of my socks magic loop on US size 1, which is 2.25 millimeters. And that's just how I make them. You can make socks a variety of ways, but that is my favorite way. And when I knit for enjoyment. So magic loop brings me joy. All right, the first one are these Princess Cuff Shorties by Haxan Evers, I believe. Yeah, Haxan. Unless I'm pronouncing that wrong, which I might be. And these I made out of some yarn that I dyed myself. This was one of my first attempts in the dye pot, and at the time I thought it was a huge failure. If you look here, you can see there's going to be some kind of undyed sections, which is not what you're going for. When you dye yarn, you want dye on all the sections unless it's designed to not have dye on it. And I let it sit for a really long time, just not really liking it. And then I pulled it out and decided to wind it up to use. And as I was doing that, my daughter saw it and she was like, "Mom, that is so pretty. I want socks out of that." And so she named it Watermelon Sugar. And then I cast on these shorty socks for her. So here they are. I just have to graft the toe. This is done. And it has this brilliant kind of folded edge on the top to make it look kind of like a tiara, which I really like. And just this simple patterning on the top. I'm sorry, you can probably hear those needles. I apologize for that. And it's just really, really pretty. And I'm super, super pleased with this yarn. It's way better than I thought because it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. I kind of thought it was a failure without seeing that it was still really pretty. And then it is an afterthought heel, and this is also some knit pick stroll that I dyed just in this tonal green. I have been having some issues with getting a lot of holes on the sides when I do afterthought heels. And I mean, I'm going to be able to go in and stitch those up and they'll be fine. But I'm not sure why I'm having all these issues lately. The other socks that I made are also spectacular. I mean, if I'm going to get distracted from sweaters by making socks, these were kind of the best distractions. So these are the By the Shore socks by Nancy Wheeler. And I tend to follow a lot of Canadian podcasters and knitters, and these were all over my Instagram feed for like weeks. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love them. And I will say the Princess Cuff Shorties, somebody made those in the Shop Your Stash thread on Ravelry, and I was like, I need to make those. I love making socks so much. So these, I had this yarn set aside to make a shawl, like a one skein shawl. And once I saw that pattern, I thought this is going to be the most epic yarn and pattern pairing of all time, at least in my knitting life. I think this is my favorite that I've ever done. So this is Lolo Did It, Lo Original. This was a club colorway, so you cannot get this, unfortunately. This was from their Downton Abbey club, and this is called Lady Sybil's Dress, and this is called Eloped. So they have the same color speckles in both, which I think is really interesting. And I have one sock finished. It's so pretty. I love it so much. It's so epically pretty. It's just such a pretty pattern. And my toe is fantastic. If I do toot my own horn. And I followed the instructions for the heel flap and gusset. And I just love it so much. It is so pretty. And so I did make it sort of a mid-length shorty sock. So If I make these again, which I probably will, you can add as much length as you want to the leg. And I am on the second sock right now. I am past the heel. Sorry, I have ends all over the place. I am past the heel. So I should finish this soon. We are, I can't remember if I mentioned it before, but we are headed to the Wisconsin Dells this weekend, and I will have 5 hours in the car plus time at baseball fields and sitting by a pool. So both of these socks should be finished soon, I hope. That's really all I have for works in progress this week. I was feeling really down on myself that I didn't have more to talk about, but then I remembered that I knit a sweater yoke 3 times, a fingering weight sweater yoke 3 times, and then I didn't feel so bad. So that's it for the knitting content, and we are going to get into book club really quickly. So I finished, sorry, I'm just going to bring my notebook over so that I can not make mistakes. I finished 2 Kristen Hanna books. I thought they were both okay. I gave them both 3 stars, and I just, in my opinion, if you're going to read a Kristen Hanna book, I wouldn't recommend these 2. So I finished The Magic Hour, which I gave 3 stars. I just thought it was fine. It was predictable and it was fine. There was nothing wrong with it. It just didn't grab me. And as you'll see, there might be a theme that it might be more me than the author, or maybe I'm just not reading things at the right time. I'm not sure. I don't even feel like talking about it. It was fine. If you're given a copy of the book for free, it's worth a read. And that's what happened to me. I also finished Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna, and I did like this. I liked it much better than I liked The Magic Hour. I did feel that it was way too long though. So if you haven't seen the show on Netflix, which I actually did watch after I read the book, it's about 2 best friends and basically follows them their entire life. And it is just too long. I liked the relationship. I liked the ups and downs. I just didn't feel that the length of this book was necessarily necessary. But I don't regret reading it. I don't regret reading the other one either, but I gave them both 3 stars. I thought they were fine. I give the Netflix series about 3 stars as well. I will watch the second season just because they've made some interesting choices that are different from the book that I want to see how they resolve. But yeah, both were just fine. I also finished The Thursday Night Murder Club by Richard Osman, which was fine. I think I have these feelings because I was really looking forward to reading this book, and I thought it was really, really slow. I had to I listened to it on Audible, and I had to turn the speed up to 1.6, which is pretty fast, but the narrator, I think, was part of the problem, and I had a hard time kind of distinguishing and connecting with the characters. But at the end, it ended up being pretty charming with this group of elderly people who get together to solve murders, and which they do. And but I do feel for a first in a series novel, there was a little too much muddiness going on. However, there was also some very charming moments, and it's probably worth a read. I think I just wasn't maybe in the right headspace for it, which is, it happens, right? Currently, I'm reading The Book of Night by Holly Black, and she is an author that I've read multiple of her books. I'm sure I will like this one. I'm having a difficult time kind of getting established in this book of like what's going on. Again, it's probably a me problem because I've read many of her books and I really like her as an author. So I'm going to reserve talking about this one until I finish it to see how I really feel. And I'm also reading Clap When You Land by Elizabeth A. Svedo. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. I love this book. It is written in, it's poetry. It's written in stanzas, which may not be everyone's thing, but I really like it. The character is queer, and she's at the start of this book, her father dies in a plane crash. So she's sort of dealing with her feelings and having a secret. She knows something about her father that she's kind of holding in right now. And it's a really interesting premise. I'm really enjoying the style of the book. I haven't read anything like this in a long time, and it's really been a nice kind of breath of fresh air in terms of my reading. I'm enjoying it. And it goes fast, so I think I'll have that one finished soon if I can commit to reading it and if I can stay awake at night, which lately has been a problem. I've also started on so I got the Kindle app on my phone because I'm having trouble reading off the tablet. It's giving me headaches, and this seems to be working better. So I started a third book called We Are All Completely Beside Ourselves by Karen Joy Fowler. I'm only about 4 pages in, so I don't have anything to say about it except that I'm excited that I can read off of my Kindle now. And I just wanted to talk really quickly about one other book, and that is a book that my friend Angela Beer just purchased called The Accidental Archivist. And our daughters have danced together. I've known her for, about 7 or 8 years, and she's a great writer who has a great voice. She has a blog that I've written, that I've read several of her blog posts, and she's an excellent writer, so I'm really excited. This is going to jump to the top of my queue after I finish Clap When We Land so that I can read it and tell her how great she is. So the back of this says, family history, modern genetics, and well-kept secrets collide as Angie Beer is drawn into a search for a stranger's birth father hidden somewhere in her own family tree. The search leads to dusty archives, clues hidden in plain sight, and the cutting edge of commercial genetic testing. So this should be really cool. I'm really excited to read this. So yeah, if you're interested and want to pick this up, I will be reading this soon. You can get it on, I heard Michael from Piece for Piece Crafting. It took me a minute to figure out what he was saying, but he's like, I got this off Jeff's site. And then I realized he was talking about Amazon. So yeah, I got this off Jeff's site as well. So that's all I have today. I know this was a shorter episode. I'm hoping to come back in a couple weeks and be more like myself. Hopefully my mushy brain will work itself out and our life will get a little bit easier. Definitely feeling stressed out this summer, and it's coming out in everything that I'm doing. So hopefully I can get some decompression happening soon and be more like myself soon. Not that I'm not really myself, but my knitting is not what it normally is. So thanks so much for joining me. Like, subscribe, do all the things if you'd like. Leave your recommendations below or just say hello. I like that too. So take care and I'll see you soon. Bye.